Hey there, this is Natalie, and it's time for some more interesting stories from the depths of Reddit. Please gently caress the subscribe button for more Reddit videos to relax to, with, I promise you, no AI voices ever. Now, here's a story I'm going to be reading and reacting to live. So I don't know how it's going to end, but it is a fully updated story, so we will get a conclusion. The OP in this story is user CandidSpot5015, and parts of this story were posted to both r/TrueOffMyChest and r/AmITheButthole here. And I'm not expecting this to be a wholesome one, because the title of the story is "My foster family of 11 years is kicking me out by the end of the week. I have nowhere to go and I feel broken." So this one is definitely going to be starting with a very bad situation, and I really hope that by the end of it, the OP finds a way out of that difficult spot. But we will find out. Now, the first post begins. I, 18 male, was told earlier today that I need to pack up and leave by the end of the week. I still feel in shock. I was removed from my biological family when I was 7 due to issues with my parents. I was then placed in foster care and then matched with a couple who I will call the Peters. It's not their real name. No matter how much I actually want to blast their real info, I won't. The Peters were always really nice to me, and since I moved in when I was pretty young, after a while I started to consider them my parents. I called them mum and dad, treated them as my parents, treated their biological son as my brother. I wasn't their only foster child. They also have a 9-year-old boy who's lived with us for a little over a year. I was never adopted by them. I know why, because they live off of the fostering allowance, something that never really bothered me. They told me that it didn't matter and that legality didn't make us a family, which I believed. I went on their agency website earlier today and I found out they're getting paid at least £2,400 for me per month, or at least they were. Since I turned 18, they stopped getting the allowance. However, they applied for a staying put arrangement for me, which meant they would continue getting paid something as they continued to support me and let me live with them. It wasn't as much. I think it was like £1,000 per month. They told me they had it approved until I was 21, so I thought I'd be able to stay at least until I finished uni. Just as a note here, this story clearly takes place in the UK because he's talking in pounds. And in the UK, college, or as we call it, university, is typically 3 years rather than 4 to get a bachelor's degree. So that's why he's thinking that by 21 he would have finished university. Just clarifying that for my audience, because I know a lot of you are in the US where it's slightly different. I would expect that other parts of this story that are going to come up will also be dependent on the UK system when it comes to things like fostering and adoption and so on. Still, he continues. They sat me down today and told me I had to leave. They told me that fostering is a business and that they couldn't afford to keep me on just the stay put arrangement allowance. They told me I had until the end of the week. 4 days. How generous of them. They said they need my room because they want to get a new foster placement. They literally told me it's not personal, like that makes it any frickin' better. They said they would still consider me like a son, not their son anymore, like a son, and that they want to keep in touch. What a joke. They choose to kick me out, an 18-year-old with no job, no income, no nothing, about to start university. Yet their biological son, who's 25, gets to stay. So yeah, I guess frick me, right? I'm just the one no one ever wanted. I guess I wasn't ever truly part of their family. Wow, now this story is sad for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, it is true that people do get an allowance for taking in foster children, and some people do see it in a way as a business or a way of making a living, as well as being something that's helpful to the children that need it. But if that's the way that these parents were viewing it, and they had always expected for him to have to move out and support himself as soon as he was 18 and their allowance stopped, They really shouldn't have given him the impression that he was genuinely a part of the family, and they should have been working with him for the months leading up to him turning 18 to help him, find ways to support himself, whatever entitlements there might be from the government, as well as, talking to him about his plans in terms of getting a job, getting student loans perhaps, all of that, so that he was prepared for this. I would expect that there would be help available to kids in his situation through the fostering agency that he was placed with, perhaps. But where he wasn't expecting any of this to come up, he hasn't been able to sort of get in touch with the social workers involved or anything like that to discuss what options he has. He wasn't expecting to be given 4 days' notice to leave his home. So he's not just been thrown into what's definitely a desperate situation in terms of his actual ability to survive, but he's also been kind of emotionally betrayed by this family that have led him to feel like their own, up until the point where they don't get any money for taking care of him, or they don't get as much money. I mean, I would have thought if he was going away to university, he would presumably be moving away to do that. Most kids in the UK do. And so they would only need to have a place for him to stay when he was on breaks from university. Surely there could be a way that they could arrange their home so that he could still come home to visit, but his room could perhaps be made available to a new foster child. You would think if they really wanted him to feel at home there, that's something they would look into, something they would consider, given he probably wouldn't be living there full time while he's at university anyway. It really just sounds like these people were awful to him. But this is quite a long story with a number of updates, so we will get to find out what happens. There are some relevant comments on the first post, which I'll read before we get into the updates. The first is from Accomplished Emu 591, and they say, "I'm sorry for your situation. However, you should contact the agency that was paying them. Tell them what they did and ask for referrals to other organisations that can provide you assistance with finding employment and attending uni. It's even possible that your report of their behaviour would make them ineligible for further paid foster placements. Not likely, but possible." No Address, responding to that, says, "Calling your former social worker is 100% a great idea, OP, or going to Citizens Advice. There is plenty of support available to former foster children, and they will help you to find what you're eligible for. The part about reporting them, sadly, there wouldn't be anything legally wrong or against any fostering practices for what they're doing, as long as they don't continue to claim on the staying put order, that is. In England, fostering is generally treated more as a business than as something you do for love, as it is in the US, which has its upsides and its downsides. Morally though, the Peters are despicable people in my opinion." Jen in Miami says, "I'm so sorry. If it makes you feel any better, many parents kick their biological kids out once they turn 18 too." And OP replies, "It doesn't really, if I'm honest." Mouse and Ladybug says, "I'm so sorry this is happening to you. These are garbage people. I'd be reporting them for fraud. They can't accept money to have you stay there if you aren't." And OP replies to that with, "They'll probably cancel the staying put arrangement altogether, so I don't think they'll continue to be paid for me after I leave. Though that is something I'm 100% going to be checking in a few weeks." Snoo Donuts 5498 says, "Join the military. It's a great place for a young man, and you'll have benefits for the rest of your life." But OP replies to that with, "F off." Po Boy from Po Family says, "They're doing it for the money, that's why. It's unfortunate and they sound horrid. I'm sorry, OP. I hope it all works out for you. Leaving will suck, but at least you won't be surrounded by greedy leeches." And OP says, "I thought they were my family. I'm genuinely considering going no contact with them after I'm set up with whatever I'll end up with next week." Cucky94 says, "You absolutely should. You were 7 when you went into their care. They denied you the opportunity to find a real family who love you for you and not the money you brought in. Frick them. You deserve better." But OP replies, "I doubt anyone would have adopted me. I wasn't a great kid. In truth, I had more issues than a hospital piss pot. I wasn't a great kid in any sense, but I changed. Genuinely, I changed. I can't help but wonder if this is because of how I was as a young child. Nene130318 says, I'm so sorry this has happened to you. Honey, you must be feeling awful. Do you have a care leaver's personal advisor? Not sure which area you were in. They should be supporting you to find move-on accommodation in a supported setting if needed, or support you to approach your local housing office for support. Without cause, your foster family cannot give you 4 days' notice to leave. They would need to give formal notice, which is usually about 4 weeks. It would be worth calling your Children's Services Duty/out-of-office telephone number and explaining the situation, because it will be whoever is responsible, i.e. the personal advisor's team, who will be paying the staying put fees to the foster carers. So there is someone who is responsible and will need to provide immediate support to help you. And OP replies, yeah, I'm meeting with him today. I'm going to tell him they've given me a verbal 4 days notice and that I need urgent help. If I'm honest, I don't want to stay here anymore. The whole dynamic has changed and none of them even look me in the eyes now. But I'm not going to make myself homeless, so I'll stay until I have accommodation, and I'm not leaving the house until I do. Brightad306 says, it's awful, but if they counted on that money to make rent, they might not have much of a choice. I wouldn't conduct myself that way, but not every foster couple is rich. And OP replies, they own their own home. And just some quick maths for anyone interested. I don't know what package I was placed on because there's a different allowance for each package, but according to the fostering agency website, the minimum was £2,400 for me. It goes to a maximum of £3,400 per month, but I'll estimate off the lowest. Mine obviously stopped, but it would be the same for the 9-year-old foster placement they have now. So 2,400 times 12 is 28,800 per year. Plus my 12,000 per year from the staying put order gave them a nice 40,800 per year, which they would pay little, if any, tax on, as a fostering allowance is taxed very lightly here. That maybe doesn't sound a lot to Americans with your high wages, but the average post-tax wage where I live is $23,985 per year. They had enough, I think. And the first mini update says, okay, thank you guys for all your advice. Honestly, I was in a state of shock yesterday. Maybe still am today. I wasn't thinking straight. I only slept 2 hours last night. That's all, so I'm probably a little delirious today as well. Firstly, I have contacted my personal advisor. He'll be having an emergency meeting with me at 1:30, so I'll have more details about what's going to happen to me then. He'll hopefully be able to sort out emergency accommodation for me. Secondly, to those of you saying the Peters can't legally just give me 4 days notice to leave, I will definitely be mentioning this to my PA to get his advice on it. I don't want to stay here any longer than I need to because since they told me it's like I don't exist. They just look right through me. But I'm not going to move out until I have safe accommodation for me. I will outright refuse. I'm not going to be made homeless. Thirdly, those of you saying contact my uni, I have an offer from them, but it's only conditional if I get my predicted A-levels. Hopefully I will, but since I'm not technically a student yet, I don't know if they will actually provide any support yet. Finally, I'm also going to ensure that the staying put allowance stops. I will tell my PA today that it should surely be stopped if I'm not living with them. Luckily, I have some money saved. Some people here said I should be entitled to a bursary when I start uni, and I'll have my maintenance student loan to help me. I've already started looking for a job. And in the comments to that, Snaggletooth says, good luck. I'd cut all ties with them. They're not good people. Celebration Main 8329 says, good luck OP. I'm here rooting for you. And then we get to update 2, where OP says, okay, hi everyone. I just got home and I'm feeling incredibly tired, so this is just going to be a short update. Basically, I had a big long meeting with my personal advisor and he was very sympathetic and felt upset that the Peters are treating me this way. We had one meeting and then I went to get food while he spoke to the Peters directly, and then I came back to meet him again to let me know everything that has happened. He's putting me on the list for social housing. I'm hopeful that it will not be too long until I'm able to get my own house. I recorded the meeting because I'm so sleep deprived, and also I have really bad memory processing for long things like that because of my dyslexia/autism or something, I'm not sure. I can listen to it again tomorrow after I've slept, but from what I gather they will help me with paying for rent costs. I will also get some money to help pay for furniture and things like that. When he spoke to the Peters, I don't know if he said they had to keep me housed for a while or asked them to, I'm not sure, but they've agreed to keep housing me until the end of August, so at least I don't have to worry about everything happening in 3 days' time. He did tell me that if I feel uncomfortable, I can be moved into a youth hostel place while they wait for a property to be available for me. But I said if I can, I would rather stay with the Peters until I'm ready to move, even if it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. He told me they will continue getting paid the stay put allowance until the day I officially move out, and then it will be stopped. On a completely separate note, my best friend and I had a huge argument earlier. He said that I'm being ungrateful, and honestly what he said really hurt me. We had a huge argument. I just thought out of everyone he would get me and understand what I was going through. Maybe not. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. I'm really tired, so maybe my emotions are just not being controlled well at the moment. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow after I've slept, and I'm hoping this argument will just blow over because I need him at the moment. I don't feel like I have anyone else. Oh, and I haven't read all the comments because I didn't expect to get so many. Thank you everyone who's offered support. It is genuinely so sweet and I am so thankful. And in the relevant comments, Janae820 says, "Glad things are working out. Don't worry about your friend. Right now you are in survival mode, trying to make sure you aren't on the streets. Hope everything keeps working out for you." And OP replies, "He said that I should be grateful that they kept me that long anyway. Like, the frick? I'm not a pet." He also said some other things like how it's good that they're going to help another child like I was, which is true, and I get that it's a good thing what they're doing to help people. But him saying those things makes me feel like I'm being crazy for wanting to stay, like I was promised by them. Ugh, I'm too tired, and maybe I'm being irrational. I'm going to talk with him again tomorrow and say I'm sorry. Now his next post is titled Long and Unimportant Rant. But since it was included in the Best of Redditor Updates thread, I'm guessing that it's not entirely unimportant, so I'm going to include it. It begins, "It never bothered me that they were paid to keep me before. Genuinely never bothered me at all. I always knew I was a foster child. I was about 15 when I learnt that they were paid money to look after me, and I told myself it was a good thing, and it probably was. I got loving parents for 11 years, which is more than some people can say. I just didn't ever think they'd make me move out when the payments stopped being as high. I found out that when I was still a child, they were paid £111.82 per day for me. That's £40,814 per year. I'd never felt different to the family. I'd always felt loved and secure. I don't understand why they've changed their minds about me. None of them will even look at me in the eyes anymore, and it's gotten to the point where I can't leave my room anymore because all I feel is the absence of their love that used to be there. I don't come down for any meal times, which was a rule that you had to before. If I didn't go down before, I wouldn't have gotten any food. But Mum brought it up to my room and knocked on the door to say she was going to leave it there for me. I've used that 100 times over and over again in my head to try and convince myself that they still love me. I called her by her first name when I came home yesterday. Not Mum, Claire. She looked upset when I did that, and a part of me is happy about that, and a part of me feels cruel for it. I knew it would hurt her, and I did it anyway. In some ways, I wish she wakes up to the pain she's causing me. I hope she takes it back and says that it's a lapse in judgment and that she loves me and wants me to stay. But if that were going to come, I think it would have already. I guess I'm not worth the £76 per day they lose by not replacing me with another foster child. When I feel bad about hurting them, I remind myself they're kicking me out to get an extra £76 a day. That's what I'm worth to them. £76 per day. And the relevant comments begin with OP himself adding in the comments, "I didn't expect anyone to read this or care, but I want to say thank you for the immense love you've all shown me. I feel nothing but gratitude to you all." Milne Badbook says, I'd like to think at least a part of the reason for their lack of eye contact and emotional withdrawal is due to their feelings of absolute embarrassment, guilt and shame. That she seemed upset with being called her name, I feel somewhat supports this. And they should feel this way. However, I really do hope that they can put these feelings and their egos to the side and take steps to actively make amends and rebuild the relationship. I'm really sorry this is happening, and I'm so very happy you had a secure and safe childhood. Edited to add, I follow you and read your posts because I really want you to be okay. You didn't deserve this. No child does, no matter their struggles. I've been thinking about you and putting all the good thoughts out there for you. I Am Jem France says, your feelings are valid and important. You're not alone. r/adopted is a great group here on Reddit just for adoptees, people who understand because they've been there. You can also find groups on Facebook, and there may even be local groups in your area if you'd like to connect with people in person. You're doing amazing. Now, the next post from this OP was to r/am I the butthole here, and was titled, Would I be the butthole for going no contact with the family that raised me for 11 years? And there is a bit of a thunderstorm going on here, so if you can hear a little bit of that in the background, then I'm sorry. But where I'm doing this as a live reading, I do want to get to the end of the story and find out what happens. So I'm going to keep going and just hope the storm doesn't actually cut off the electric and turn my computer off. So, OP says, okay, I'm going to try and condense this as much as possible. Basically, I, 18 male, got removed from my biological family when I was 7. I got taken into foster care and was matched with a family called the Peters. I was then raised by the Peters for the remainder of my life, from 7 all the way until now. They'd originally told me that I was able to live with them indefinitely, as I considered the Peters my family, and they applied for a staying put order with me, which basically means they continued to get paid something like £250 by the government to recognise that they're continuing to support a former foster child, me, after my 18th birthday. As I said before, I was always told by the Peters I could stay as long as I needed to set myself up in life. Their biological son, who I considered my brother, is 25 and still lives with them. He doesn't work, but did graduate university 2 years ago. I have a conditional offer at a local university, which I'm studying classics, and aim to become a teacher. I start in October, if I get my predicted A-levels, which I think I will. But the Peters told me I had to leave by the end of the week because they wanted to get another foster child. This is something they really sprung on me, and it's been extremely difficult for me. I had to get in touch with my social worker who spoke with the Peters, and now they're letting me stay until the end of August, but the whole family has changed. I explained all this to my best friend, and I said I was considering going no contact with them after I moved out. He ranted to me about being ungrateful to them, and how they raised me for 11 years, and now they want to give that to another child in a position like I was. I get that, and that's part of the reason why I feel so guilty. My friend isn't speaking to me now, calling me selfish for wanting to stay with the Peters like I was promised, and for them trying to get rid of me with 4 days' notice. There were plans they could have taken to transition me into independent living before I turned 18, and they chose not to take part in them because they told me I could always stay with them. The one time in my life I needed my friend, and he's gone too, and I feel so alone, and I can't understand why he's taking their side over mine. I understand the argument that they'll continue to help another child, but at the same time, I just wish they didn't have to throw me out to do so. When I suggested to my friend they could have asked their biological son to move out instead of me, and he said I'm just being selfish. I still don't even know if I'm going to go no contact with them. I just said I felt like doing it, and I wish I didn't even say that, because I didn't expect it to cause such an argument. So, am I the butthole? And in the comments to that post, Top Reveal 847 says, "You poor kid, your friend is a butthole and you're certainly not. Even if there is another kid waiting and desperately in need, they could and should have at least let you plan ahead more than a few days in advance, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Are your foster parents at least helping you find a place?" Edit to add that you should let someone at the university know. I don't know how it's done where you are, but some universities have programs for stuff like this. Wardog 1983 says, "You're not the butthole. The Peters are using the fostering system to support themselves. They do not care about helping the kids. They say that to justify their callous treatment of you. They should not be foster parents. I'm sorry about your friend. His point of view is a betrayal because it's simply wrong. Scott Swahey says, dude, my cousin used to foster kids. She fostered 3 sisters and 1 other girl. I used the words used to because she adopted them as she wasn't in it for the money. And OP responds to that post with, I don't really even care that they were looking after me and getting money for it. It doesn't bother me. I never knew how much they were getting to look after me, but I did know that they were being paid. It does make me hurt and betrayed that they're kicking me out for the difference of 70 or something pounds a day. Material Cellist 4133 says, not the butthole. Also, you are far from ungrateful. You were 100% grateful until they made it about money. You thought they took care of you because they were good people. Instead, they took care of you for money. It's an even exchange. Nothing to be grateful about. But the next post from OP is entitled, The Peters Found My Reddit Post. And here he says, the Peters' son, Jamie, has found my original Reddit post. I guess I should have been more careful with the details, but my mind was so frantic at the point of writing it, I just couldn't think straight. I'm not sure how he found it, but considering it has almost 10,000 upvotes, and Jamie was the person who introduced me to Reddit, I guess it might have just popped up on his page. Does anyone know if it might have popped up to him because we're on the same network or in the same location? A few hours ago, Jamie came to my room. He showed me the original post and asked if I'd written it. At first I tried to deny it, but I'm an awful liar, so he just knew. He asked why I didn't tell him about this, and I said I thought he knew. He told me he had no idea and would not have supported his parents throwing me out if he did. He was told I requested to move out. He genuinely seemed shocked and appalled at the details in the post. Against my wishes, he shared the posts in the family group chat. He did this out of a place of wanting to defend me. Mum, Dad, I really think you should read this and see the impact this is having on OP. But I really wish he didn't do it. They've both read the message, but neither have responded. I've not left my room since. I'm really anxious right now, like I'm at the level of a panic attack. I can feel one coming on. And in the relevant comments to this, Polly6119 says, stay calm and know that you did nothing wrong. They may try to gaslight you. They may lie to your brother. They don't have a good track record for being decent people, but no matter what they do, remember you did nothing wrong. They cannot throw you out because of it. They've learned their lesson on that. I'm glad to know your brother didn't agree with their horrible decision, and I'm glad that he found out. Him not looking you in the eye these past couple of days may have had something to do with the tension already in the air, and him thinking you just up and wanted to leave. I hope it turns out that they realise their mistakes and apologise profusely, but brace yourself for that not happening, and they may get upset with you for airing dirty laundry. They may end up trying to guilt you and blame everything on you. They may do nothing. Please, please remember, no matter what they say and no matter what your ex-best friend said, you did nothing wrong. Your feelings are valid. You deserve love. You did not deserve what they did to you. OP's next post, continuing on from that, is entitled, What I'm going to send in the family group chat. Is this a bad idea? And it begins, to Matt and Claire, I came to you as a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old who had never felt love or affection, or anything remotely nice. I was taught at a young age to fear those in authority, to fear the sudden changes in the moods of my birth parents. I was taught to bottle up my emotions and my pain and never show it. When I first came to you, my life was ruled by fear and anxiety. I know my behaviours back then were awful, were a struggle to manage. I'd been taught that there were no consequences for my actions, and firm, scary and hard consequences for others. The worst part was that those actions never seemed to be consistent. I could do something one day and be praised by my birth family, and another day I would be beaten. Love was not something given, it was something earned. It was conditional and shallow. You both showed me another way. You showed me love and affection, and at first it felt confusing and hard to comprehend. I couldn't see myself as anything more than a nuisance. I couldn't see why someone would love me. I couldn't understand why you weren't beating me. Do you remember me telling you, you can hit me if I'm naughty, I won't mind. Slowly, you taught me to trust and love myself, and those around me. You showed me that no matter what I did, you wouldn't give up on me. You wouldn't send me away or hate me. And I really tried to make you. I know that. I was scared. You made me realise that it wasn't my own fault I was in care, and that I wasn't to blame for the things that happened to my birth family. You showed me appropriate outlets to my fears. You showed me love, compassion and kindness. The first day I remember feeling truly safe was when I was sitting in your arms at 8 years old watching Shrek. I still think back to that moment. It probably just felt like another day to you, but to me it's a core memory in my life. It's a moment that shapes the way I see myself. You sat up with me when I was worried about moving up to secondary school. You comforted me when my birth mom told me that she no longer wanted to be part of my life. You were there when X broke up with me when I was 15 years old, and I felt like my whole world was ending again. You encouraged me to go beyond my studies and apply to university. The most important thing you showed me was that I was worthy of being loved and respected. You never gave up on me. I am who I am today because of what you did. I look at myself and I see compassion and care and kindness, and those traits I see in you. You weren't my birth family, but you were my family. My only family. I don't know what changed. Why has there been a switch? Why have you gone from the loving and caring parents you were? When I leave my room now, I no longer feel that love and kindness that brought me out of the pits of despair as a child. It's almost as if you've completely altered the way you see me, and I just can't understand why. A few days ago, you told me I had to move out. You gave me 4 days' notice to leave my family. You sent me back into feeling like that child at 7 years old. I'm not saying this to guilt you or to ask you to let me stay. That's past now, and unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever be able to see you the same way again. I understand if you were hard on money or if you wanted to help another child like me, but why not talk to me? Why spring it on me and then act like I don't matter? Why tell me it's just business? Did you think that would make it hurt less? Since you told me, my whole life has been turned upside down, and I don't know how I will make it to the other side. If I'd felt like this a few weeks ago, do you know who I would have gone to? I would have gone to you. I would have told you my worries and my fears, and you would have said the exact right thing, and then we'd sit together and watch some awful TV show. And now I have no one again. I feel like I'm being told for the second time in my life that I don't deserve a family, and this time I have no one to pick me up off the edge. That was always you, Mum and Dad. It was always you I could rely on. Why are you giving up on me now? And OP adds in the comments, I really feel like today the whole thing has just hit me in the face again. I think the emotions I was feeling were being blocked, and today they've been let out, and I've done nothing but cry all day. Jay Loves Writing says, send it to them. Let them know how you feel, how they hurt you, and that they cannot expect you to ever contact them again after you leave. They need to know how you feel. Send it to them, and if you want to, leave the group chat, because they may try to justify their actions, and you don't need to hear it. And OP replies to that saying, the sad thing is, I don't think I even want that. I want them to love me again. And then the final update is titled, I've contacted my personal advisor and I'm moving out today. And OP begins, my personal advisor is allowing me to store my things I can't take with me in his garage. It's kind of him. He's found me a place at a local hostel. I'll get my own room apparently, which was a big deciding factor on if I wanted to move in or not. The hostel works with the local authority and houses a lot of care leavers, the English term for someone who's aged out of foster care, while they wait for their own houses. I haven't sent the message yet, but I know my foster brother Jamie has seen it. Yesterday I felt overwhelming emotions. Today I feel none. I don't know which is better. I'll send it once I've moved out. I have a room, so I'll be gone in a few hours. I still haven't spoken to them, but I just can't face it anymore. I'm sick of being anxious and stressed about this. I guess they did get their 4-day notice after all. And then he updates with a number of edits. Edit 1 says, I've just left the Peters house for the last time. The room is ready for me at the hostel. I feel so weird and sad and lonely right now. I've ordered myself a pizza to have for dinner today, and my personal advisor even paid for it. I just want to get in bed and cry. My head is spinning thinking about everything I need to do. Wish me luck, everyone. Edit 2. I want to clarify something. I was hurt and in shock when I wrote my first post, but I want to make it understood that I was never eligible to be adopted. At first, the end goal was for me to reintegrate back with my birth family. By the time we knew that was never going to happen, I wouldn't have accepted adoption, as I wanted to keep my legal ties with my birth family. The Peters always told me it didn't matter that I didn't want to be adopted, and they loved me the same anyway. Maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, or maybe it would have. They were being paid fortnightly for caring for me, and they would get £1,565.48. That's £40,702.48 per year they got just to raise me. I keep thinking about that number. Was that all I was? I wonder what I would change if I could go back in time. Edit 3. I'm settled in the hostel now. It's not exactly luxury, to say the least, but at least I'm here now. I sent the text message, very slightly altered from the one I wrote yesterday, and then I left the group chat. I also posted it on Facebook. That was probably the wrong thing to do. I don't know. Final update. This is going to be my final update on all of this. I want to put everything behind me. Claire rang me crying. She said she had no idea I felt like this. How? How could she not know? She said she was sorry and begged me to come back. God, how do I ruin everything? She was telling me all these things about how she regrets the past few days so much and wishes she could take it all back. I said this is not fair. She cannot throw me out and then call me crying. I said it's manipulative. She just kept saying sorry. She said she loves me and wants me to come home. Jesus, this is just a lie, right? She must have known. Am I the bad person here? I feel so confused I don't know what to do. I just hung up, and then she started texting me, and I blocked her. But now I feel like I'm the bad person here. I'm so tired of this, of all of this. I want nothing to do with any of them. I don't think Reddit is good for me. I'm not sure any of this is good for me. I'm going to delete the app. Sorry, everyone. And that was the final update, and I guess it is kind of inconclusive. We do know that he got into a hostel and had a place to stay while they looked for more permanent housing for him, but also that his message in the group chat did have an impact, at least, on the mother from the family that had asked him to leave. And now his situation just seems even more confusing and sad than before. This is quite a recent story, just from July this year, so I really hope he's doing okay out there. There were some relevant comments to close this off. Calamity Curls says, I've been following along with your updates as you post them, OP, and I want to tell you that I'm so sorry you're going through this, that you deserve better, and that you're so strong in a situation where you shouldn't have to be. I'm glad your personal advisor is helping you, and I wish you nothing but success and happiness. And in response to that, OP says, thank you. I considered contacting my biological mother. Last time I spoke to her was when I was a young teen, but I think it might just be seeking out something to make myself feel more hurt, and I don't think I could deal with any more rejection. 2 bigger and better things. Express Score 2539 says, Hi OP, I've been following your story and my heart breaks every time. I cannot imagine the pain you're going through. I'm just an internet stranger, but please know I, and I suspect many other internet strangers, are rooting for you, and you're in our thoughts. Your letter is very beautiful and composed. It speaks volumes to who you are. Always carry in mind that at your darkest time, you carried yourself with the strength, maturity, and indeed generosity most of us can only aspire to. You are truly admirable. I am just a stranger and have little to offer, but know a stranger cares. And as a headhunter, if you ever need career or CV advice, reach out. I would be delighted and indeed privileged to help. Stay strong, you're a good un. And OP replies saying, thank you, I'm on my way to my new place now, thinking back on my life, wondering about all the what ifs. It's been such a hard week, the worst week of my life, but everyone on Reddit has made it just a little more bearable. And 8 Marshmallows says, I can't believe the Peters were too cowardly to even say anything to you. Will this whole situation make them ineligible for future placements? I would think there's a reporting structure, and your personal advisor would be obligated to flag their file for this. And OP replies, doubt it. My personal advisor didn't even seem shocked by the situation as a whole, and I think my parents had framed it as us falling out to their social worker, despite me making it clear that's not the case from my point of view. And so there we have it. That is everything from this Reddit story. What do you guys think about this? I know this one isn't a particularly contentious one. It's pretty clear that this poor kid has been put through so much by the family that, had promised him a place to stay and an ongoing family relationship. I also can't believe that his best friend kind of cut him off over this. It sounds absolutely unthinkable that, even if you did think that your friend was acting a little bit selfishly in this situation, which I don't think he was, by the way, but if you did think that, you'd still be able to see what he was going through, and that now wouldn't really be the time to bring that up, let alone to, actually fall out with him over it when he really needs someone to talk to. That just sucks. But we are at the end of the story now, and this storm just keeps getting worse. So I'm going to stop now. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching or listening today. Please let me know what you think about today's stories in the comments, and I hope to see you again next time.